Welcome to Family Matters, Legal Edition, a special monthly segment of the Business of Family podcast. I'm Tammy Buss, family business advisor and founder of Blue Roots.
And I'm Yola Ventresca, managing partner at Lerners LLP. Together, we're diving into the legal issues that impact family businesses, from succession and shareholder agreements to conflict resolution and governance.
Whether you're in the founder's seat, part of the next generation, or advising a family-run company, this series is here to help you navigate the legal side of legacy with clarity and confidence.
Join us every third Tuesday of the month for real talk, real stories, and practical legal insights.
Because in family business, the law isn't just about protecting assets, it's about protecting relationships.
So we are so very excited to have with us today David Jordan from Lerners Law Firm. David is our Director of Innovation, which is a very exciting role for us as a firm to have brought David on. But you know, I could probably give a description about what David does, but David does so many things for us, and his role is so broad, in so many ways in the weeds, and in so many ways so in the air. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so strategic and forward thinking, that I think it's best to let him explain really what he does for us.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here. My work really exists at the intersection of the law, technology, and risk. I provide decision support to the firm on where AI technology, and not just AI, but any kind of forwarding technology, makes sense, and where else it might otherwise leave open unmitigated risk.
Yeah, wow. and there is, I have to say, a tremendous amount of excitement and I would say anxiety in the legal profession about AI.
Mm-hmm. It is a very disruptive technology, especially in the legal space.
Yeah. Well, and today we're actually going to talk about AI in family businesses, right? So why it really matters. And, just because AI can do something, should it actually do it? Right?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just jump right in.
So I guess let's start with the basics, I guess. David, can you tell us what AI tools are most commonly being used by business owners at the moment?
Sure. I think in general, what we've seen in the public space anyway is that ChatGPT and AI has largely moved to replace traditional search, where before you use Google or a search engine to try and gather some information. Now you can just ask your question specifically to an AI answer bot, and it takes away a lot of the work of assembling and reorganizing your answers that you get from different sites. So certainly the leading frontier models, we're seeing ChatGPT. Microsoft has its own AI agent that it's kind of sprinkling into all their products. But also, Facebook has an AI model.
Yes.
Grok is a very popular model out there, and these are all accessible to the consumer at no cost. And so I think we're seeing most of those publicly accessible models show up.
So is it replacing Google as a search engine? You say I used to Google something.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Are you now AIing something? Would that be the...
Yeah, I mean, Google's really making it their priority to introduce their AI systems into your regular search habits. Now when you just go to Google and search for something, you're getting an AI answer first.
I noticed that.
Yeah. They're consuming all of the information that exists in their products to help deliver that for you, both on a commercial sense, but also on a personal sense. So for family business owners that might rely on, say, Gmail to conduct their business through, all of that information is something that Google is harvesting up and using to help train their AI models and in turn produce results to your traditional searches as well.
And so apart from I'll say the Google replacement AI tools, any other common tools that business owners are using now, AI tools?
Specific products, I think aren't necessarily emerging, but what you do have is all of your traditional software products that might support a family business, like QuickBooks or tax products. They're introducing AI components into all of those. And so there's both a very careful balance between what are the features that we really need in order to service our business versus the risk that we're taking on by starting to move some of our information into
that's
those
right.
platforms.
You're right when you say that with QuickBooks or anything. If you look now on any updates to any of the programs you use or the apps you use, there's a little star, a little GP AI little star on just about everything. I'm like, I don't want to touch that. I don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
It is. And I think that in the legal space, I'm proud to say that we have put together a plan through David's assistance that both allows us to effectively explore this technology, but do it in a way that is responsible and that our clients can trust. A lot of our clients are asking us about AI, and a lot of the requests for proposal is that we're getting, we're being asked about how we're streamlining efficiencies through AI. And I'm very happy to say that, we were one of the first, certainly Southwestern Ontario, to have an entire role dedicated to this issue, because I think you have to have someone with eyes on it all the time. But in the law especially, it can be dangerous in the sense of people using it on their own. And so maybe you want to talk to us a little bit about what about the dangers of AI,
Sure.
I guess, someone who does not have any information about the technology, it has a legal issue, uploading, their contract, let's say, into, and this is not abstract, like this is happening all the time, into ChatGPT or to Claude, and what are we seeing?
Certainly there's an expectation that the client's legal spend is being spent as efficiently as possible. And yeah, to your point, these tools are available to us as lawyers and as a law firm. And so meeting clients' expectations is, and leveraging these tools is all in service of meeting that expectation. AI is a fantastic accelerant to information. It doesn't necessarily translate to advice. And certainly advice is what lawyers and law firms are in the business of dispensing. Advice requires judgment and accountability and context. And these are elements that AI solutions do not bring to bear. They miss the nuance that fits into that. So, certainly from a client consultation or a client education point of view, we want to highlight that to them, that there's, false efficiency in gathering a whole bunch of information that is not necessarily relevant to your particular circumstance or set of facts. On the other side, consider privilege and consider uploading sensitive information into these products that forfeit your right to privilege. The wrong product might be taking your information and using it to train their system, and now your sensitive confidential information becomes part of the base model that are provided to as answers to other people. That's a really scary proposition if you have something that's super sensitive and don't want to see released out there to be.
And they talk about that, about the proprietary information versus what goes out into the the world for everybody to see. And from my understanding, and I have very basic knowledge on technology, hence the gray hair. Like, I didn't grow up with it, but understanding the differences between the paid version and it being more confidential than the unpaid version. Am I correct in assuming that?
There's certain guardrails that come with paid versions of any product. Certainly, I think social media taught us that if you're using something for free, that you are the product that's being consumed there. And AI systems are no different. Learners experiments with all of these products in a safe and secure way, and we always look for that distinction between what is a paid model or paid subscription to this provide us in terms of governance and privacy safeguards or encryptions and things like that. Some case law out of the United States back in late last year, I think, saw a New York state judge issue an order that ChatGPT needed to preserve all of the prompts that are input into its system. Now, those haven't necessarily been deemed discoverable by that court, but OpenAI is taking the responsibility of preserving all of them anyway. That alone would be enough to sort of halt the upload of private information into a US-based storage system that you sort of forfeit all control over.
Right, because, and when we're talking about family businesses, in a lot of cases we're talking about, first to second gen. They could be very large, but they could be mid-size. And there's a lot of documents that you need to address and readdress, wills, power of attorneys, shareholder agreements. There's a lot of changes. So, sometimes it's easier to say, well, you know what, I just need to update this a little bit. So let me just throw it into, copy it up into my AI app and just have it tell me what needs to be changed.
Yeah, very scary. And I'll let David jump in here. I've seen this in the context of my employment practice, where people are wanting to update their employment contracts, let's say, and they've done so, and then something goes awry, or the employee is suing, and the changes, first of all, may not have been made in such a way so as to reflect the current state of the law. The second thing is that even changing the paragraph numbering can make the entire contract voidable, or make provisions voidable. So, it's the combination of the AI plus the judgment, the context, the nuance that David is talking about that makes the tool so effective in a legal context, right? I know this is we sometimes map out worst case scenarios here, and so for a family business who's complex family business, let's relying on AI. What could happen? Like, what are some of the things, like, what are some of the outcomes?
A lot of AI assumes clean lines, that there are clear roles that are defined and distinguished between each other. I dare say family businesses rarely fall together organized.
I'll tell you that. Yeah.
There's no clear lines.
No, there's
barely lines.
And so, relying on the information and perhaps the instructions that you're getting from AI. You mentioned cross-border businesses, and a lot of these systems are trained on American statutes. They're developed in the States by American developers. There needs to be an extra element of specificity to ground some of the responses in Canadian precedent, in Canadian laws, and Canadian statutes. You could get some pretty gross responses, grossly inaccurate responses, without tailoring some of your interactions with these systems really appropriately. And so I think if you're using AI as decision support itself, that you're really leaving yourself open to some misdirection and some bad advice.
Yeah. And from the lawyer's perspective, we've seen some very severe consequences. AI coming back with phantom cases, the cases that actually don't exist, and those cases then being cited and submitted to the court, and then those lawyers facing professional discipline when it comes to light. So from our perspective, there is also a need to be cautious and prudent, and to have frameworks for how we engage with this technology.
And as a family business, again, a lot of times the founder's still actively involved in the business. Their family, they're owners, and they're actively involved in the business. A lot of time it's time, right? It's just you don't have the time to sit down and redo your agreements or actually have the agreements in place. Particularly when you're bringing on new family members, right? It's like, well, we're family. We're family, so why do we need agreements in place? So, would you recommend then that they get a preliminary, throw some stuff into AI on family, governance or agreements, and then take it to the lawyer? Like, how would you recommend family businesses even start this process?
Yeah, it's a great question. Even at Lerners, notwithstanding the client service aspects that we're using AI for, we're really trying to leverage it to improve our internal education opportunities, to tailor those and to make them a lot more specific to the audience in mind. It's a great opportunity to educate and to use it as a learning aid. I mentioned it's an accelerant of information. If you're unclear about legal procedures or what specific facts are appropriate to a particular problem, AI is a fantastic aid to guide you on those sort of things. But you want to use it as the means to optimize the time that you have with your lawyer. In a time-based business, face time is probably the most expensive and rare that lawyers have to dispense. And so anything that you can do to sort of refine your questions, maybe, and
because you're not going to stop AI, it's going to be there, right? So how do you help your clients with it, right?
Yeah, and and you raised a really good point about that. So there have been times where people have come to me and said, I read this through AI, and then much of my time has to be spent dispelling them of what AI has told them,
right? Which
costs money as well, right?
True. Yeah, I never thought about it like that. Yeah.
So instead of, the better way to do it would be to come see me, have a consult, take the information that I've given you, play around with it, and see if you have any questions. I mean, I wouldn't take my opinion and put it into AI, but if you have like a specific question that you want to, tell me more about what constructive dismissal means, because Yola and I had a chat about constructive dismissal, so I'm going to get some more information on that from AI. That's, I think, a responsible use in terms of educating yourself. Yeah. But I've been in the position a lot where I have to say this is wrong.
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned that a lot of the information it's pulling from is out of the U.S. Should you be putting in the jurisdiction that you're currently in to ask that question?
Yeah, certainly. In the prompts,
that might if you're getting this information that's incorrect, as you said, maybe it's come from a different jurisdiction and it's not even in Canada, or you're in the States and you're getting Canadian information.
There's also, and you'll know this, how up to date is AI in terms of, real-time developments?
Oh, great question.
That's really interesting.
So, the frontier model providers are getting better at retraining their models, and each iterative version that's released is done with less fanfare than there was perhaps a year ago. But yeah, the process of training your underlying model does require a cutoff date. So I couldn't speak accurately to where OpenAI is at this point, but Harvey, that we use at Lerners, its training date cutoff is roughly October 2024.
Oh,
so the information that you're getting out of that system is already stale dated, unless your prompt specifically includes a request to go out and fetch more information.
So is that a legal AI that you're using, Harvey?
Yes.
Yeah.
So even that is a tad outdated.
Unless, and David's very good about telling us what prompts to use, etc. But but for someone who's not informed about the technology or is not keeping up with legal trends, so I'll use employment law as an example. We have gone through a year where the law around employment termination provisions has changed really fast, and typing the wrong prompt in could give you information that may have been correct 18 months ago, but is not correct today. Right. So I think that's also an important issue.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. Sure. Give me sort of three things that AI can help you with, and three things maybe you shouldn't use AI for.
As a family business.
business.
Sure.
When you're trying to get things put together.
For the business context, or is it legal needs?
Well, you know what? When you come down to family business, there's really the family enterprise, right? It's not just the operating business. but there's the family, there's the business, and there's ownership. So really it touches all three, right? So again, if I'm doing a shareholder agreement, that might be in the ownership section. If I'm doing employment contracts, that's in the business. My wills might be in the family, right? So it's really, there's all different areas to look at and just sort of separate them when you're dealing with a particular issue. But where do you think AI could help? And then where he's like, okay, don't be using it for this.
Family, there's always a need to bring people together and to give them a reason to maybe celebrate or just share being together. Certainly the creative aspects of AI, you're able to draw upon a huge amount of ideation that you might not otherwise come up with. Games, meal planning, vacation planning, itinerary planning, all that sort of stuff to help, bring the family and the participants of the business together. Shareholders agreement. I may ask ChatGPT with the appropriate prompt elements there to show me 3 or 4 examples of a shareholder's clause that adds additional members, and then explain to me why these are different, just to help give myself a point of reference on what exactly I'm looking to see changed before I engage with my my lawyer and sort of work out that last mile. And then on the organization side, perhaps there's some market research or market analysis that you might wish to do. You have a new product offering coming up and you're looking for ways at bringing together an advertising campaign or a marketing campaign, a go-to-market campaign for that product. AI can draw upon huge swaths of information to help pull together a strategy for you that you might not otherwise have had the time or capacity to develop. Even if there were only a few elements of that response that you actually took and applied as actions, that's a net benefit in terms of what you might have had to do without AI.
So you talked about different AI platforms. So would you get different responses depending on what platform you're using? Like if you're using Copilot or ChatGPT, or are you going to get different answers?
Yes. 2 people asking the same question will get different answers. So that sort of speaks to the underlying variability in AI outputs and why.
So it's not just up there for everybody to pull from, right? It's their own learning model based on what information is being put in.
Very much so, yeah. They're designed to be your personal digital assistants or your personal digital assistant, and there's a version of that that's going to be tailored for you individually.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the dangers, where would, and let's say for lawyers first, and then say the common person, not that people are common, but people other than lawyers. So, what I know you attend a ton of conferences, and we make sure that David's up to date with respect to what's going on in the industry, and he's at conferences, obtaining this advice for the firm. What are you hearing back in terms of what's the danger there in terms of the operation of these products in the legal space?
You mentioned hallucinations.
Yes.
Sort of in the uncited, unvalidated references. I think that's probably the strongest threat or risk from a professional context. That sort of reputational damage that can be done, and that really the industry is sort of focused on and waiting to see unfold. There's been some early cases here in Ontario with court submissions that continue to unfold in the headlines. For a relationships-based business like the legal one, that's the last thing that you want to see happen. At the population level, at the society level, I think we're crowdsourcing knowledge. I think we're crowdsourcing wisdom. And when you step back and look at who the purveyors of these systems are and what their benefits for that technology might be, you have to start second guessing our reliance on easy answers.
It's funny you say that about, relying on it. What about the next generations? who've not had to think. Like, you don't have to read anything anymore. You don't have to really think.
We think about this a lot at Lerners. The pipeline of developing new lawyers and what does a reliance on AI to perform a lot of the, for lack of a better word, grunt work that young lawyers would move through as training and
They
development.
get all their knowledge from, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. How do we replace that? How do we supplement that? How do we tailor lawyer mentoring to take advantage of the benefits that this technology offers? So it's a compelling and very interesting space, but also one that looks kind of opaque and pretty murky the further out ahead you look.
Well, I mean, the thing with AI is you can't ignore it. It's not going anywhere,
No, it is inevitable.
right?
Yeah.
It's coming, and it's coming at lightning speed.
That's right.
But it's scary. It's like when the internet first came on. When I remember going, I don't want to touch my computer. I don't want to hit the wrong button in case I delete everything, right? You're so scared, and now it's just common. And I think we're at that point with AI that it's pretty, adopted across the board, but it's still pretty scary.
So, David, actually, what would you say to someone who is of that mindset that it's scary? I'm scared of it. Like, where should they start? Tammy's very forward thinking and innovative, and so where would someone like Tammy, who has this curiosity but also the speculation, what would you say to her in terms of her engagement with AI?
I would encourage you to make the minimum personal investment in a professional ChatGPT license. Seek out and explore prompt building skills and learning opportunities. They may sound intimidating, but they really aren't. I think just a few hours a week or even a month.
So where would someone go to get that? Can I interrupt you?
Sure. Yeah. I don't want to say Google it, but
Yeah.
AI it.
Yeah.
really, like all of your major online learning platforms have made huge investments in building out these types of content libraries and things like that. Coursera is one that I look to, but certainly there are local, even in-person learning, ongoing learning education opportunities that will capture AI skills and AI.
Because I did hear, and I think part of the scariness is as you say, the hallucinations and stuff. But I did read something recently about a lot of times the hallucinations are based on the inputs you've put in. It's how you've asked or what you've asked, the prompts. So, it doesn't know what to do, so it just makes it up. If you're more specific, right?
Or what you haven't asked.
Yeah. So it's the other day there was a difference between create and retrieve. So understanding the differences, and that's a pretty significant difference when you think about it. But you don't necessarily think about it when you're talking. Well, I just create something. It's like, do I already have that information, or do I have to create it? And so, they were talking about hallucinations, and sometimes it's the way you've actually put the prompts in. So that's sort of the scary part, to say, well, I don't really know what a prompt is. I just write in like I would at Google.
Your question, right?
Yeah.
Just natural language, ask the question. Yeah. And part of our learning tracks at Lerners is to coach our lawyers and provide them some foundational elements in their prompts to help mitigate some of that imagination on the part of the AI. They are programmed to give you pleasing answers. They're programmed to speak confidently.
So what are you most excited about then? What are you seeing that excites you about the use of AI? Let's start in the legal space.
In the legal space, I think that AI is a catalyst to galvanize lawyers and staff's attention around technology and the prevalence of technology in delivering legal services. We have everybody's attention, finally.
Yeah.
Now we can really amplify our message around skills development, core technology competency, and really help to access some of the imagination on the part of our partners and our lawyers to what are the markets that you haven't been able to access? What are the revenue streams that you've wanted to tap but never had the time or the capacity to? Those conversations are what I'm really excited about having and truly advancing some of the services and the products and the way that we solve problems for our clients.
So that's a very interesting goal about tapping revenue sources, because I assume that would be something that would be of interest to small businesses as well. So can you just expound on that a little bit about what you mean by that? So,
Yeah. I mean, Tammy touched on it earlier that AI, its core benefit is time savings. Like reduce the time to move from blank page to 80% done.
Right.
Well, that time dividend can be reinvested in any number of personal pursuits. Maybe you're going to get to the gym more often at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to be able to attend your child's hockey game after work. Maybe you'll be able to put the pen down in service of something else. That something else might be time to reflect on what your business needs next and to redeploy some of your own energies in service of that, instead of trying to get the accounting statement done at the 11th hour, or trying to make sure that your client invoices have all been summarized for monthly roll-up, something like that. And that's sort of the exciting part for us. What will they do with the extra time?
Yeah, and I think that I've heard a lot of my clients who are small businesses use it for marketing, use it for putting together communications that you'd otherwise have to sit and type out. So one of my clients told me that they put difficult emails from clients that they find difficult to answer to, and say, "I'm really upset right now. This is how they say." Please craft a response for me. And I think that process of just having something on the screen to work from.
Mm-hmm. Don't hit send yet. Don't hit send.
The majority of my communications now go through an AI filter where I ask it,
wow.
like, just redraft this for clarity and simplicity for me. And I may not choose to use that draft text, but there's almost always something in there that is of value, just recasting a certain phrase. And that makes all the difference.
I think that's great, because I use it quite a bit now. But I think what's really important is to understand when you should be using it from a legal perspective and not using it, and the trouble it can cause. You had mentioned earlier, Yola, about having spending a lot of time explaining why this is not correct.
That's right.
So I love the idea of, you said, look, come in first. Let's have a discussion. Then go ask it some questions and come back. Don't come in with one you've drafted through AI, because it'll cost you more money for me to read it and explain to you why it's not legal. Mm-hmm. And then that becomes, not a great value, dollar value and time value.
I think, small business context, if you wanted to drive customer engagement by responding to all of your Google reviews, AI is certainly a tool that you could leverage to create specific, unique responses every single time. Maybe even automate those, create an agent and have it auto respond to your customer reviews.
I just learned what an agent is.
Something that really accelerates and compounds the benefits.
I actually asked AI what an agent was, because I've heard that terminology, and I'm like, what exactly is that?
I actually don't know.
It's daisy chaining together several prompts and their responses into a task, into a workflow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I just did one. I haven't used it yet, but I did have a few minutes, and I'm like, okay, what would I want to do if I could, instead of, because I'm asking the same thing over and over a lot of times,
exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. So that's when, like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's a big time saver if it works, because then I don't have to repeat it over and over again.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, we're out of time.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's such a great topic.
David usually has to hide in the office, because if anyone corners him, this is what happens to his day, is that he gets peppered with questions and people wanting information from him, because there's this huge demand for information from someone who really knows what they're
like sponges
doing.
right now.
That's
right.
We're like, so what, like, if you could leave our listeners with one thing to keep on their mind, they're using their technologies in their businesses, or while they're engaging with their lawyers, what would it be?
Don't be too intimidated. can't break it. You can certainly ask it to come up with fake documents if that's, the privacy and the sensitivity is something that you want to respect, and then just employ those and bit by bit, walk, crawl, run.
Yeah.
No, crawl,
walk, run.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Anyway, well, thank you so
thank
much
you
for
so
coming
much.
in.
That was my
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you.
Yes,
It was
that
great.
Very much.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Family Matters Legal Edition. We hope today's conversation gave you something to think about or talk about in your own family business.
If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who'd benefit from hearing it.
Have a legal question or topic you'd like us to cover in a future episode? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, remember, in family business, what's legal is personal. Take care. The information shared in this podcast is for general educational purposes only and is not intended as legal advice. Listening to this podcast does not create a lawyer-client relationship. For advice specific to your situation, please consult a qualified legal professional.